Before the clocks, before the stars, before even the faintest flicker of a something, there was this. A vast, patient stillness. Not the stillness of sleep, nor the pause between two notes. The stillness had never heard of movement. It didn't wait because it had no sense of time. It didn't rest because there was nothing yet to rest from. You float there now in imagination, in quiet, just beneath that first moment. There is no sound. Not even silence, really. Just a kind of unspoken breath unbreathed. There is no color. No shape. No dark, because dark implies light, and light hasn't been born. There is no here. There is no when. And yet, within this great breathless pause, something stirs. Imagine a seed, so small you cannot see it, yet inside it lives a forest. The early universe is like that, a point not in space, but of space itself. A single dot, infinitely dense, not floating in the cosmos, but carrying the cosmos curled within it. This is not a place you can visit. It is not even a thing. It is potential. Scientists call it the singularity, a word that sounds sharp, but in truth is softer than mist. It is the place where physics ceases to be a language we understand, where space folds into itself, where time forgets how to count. And then, not a bang, not a blast, but a bloom. The beginning doesn't come with an explosion. It comes like an opening hand. From that seed, space stretches not into something, but into being. It isn't that the universe expands into a room, it is the room stretching its own walls. You are not watching this from outside. There is no outside. There is only this sudden unfolding. From the first trillionth of a second, everything is light. Blazing, boundless, beautiful, and so hot that even atoms cannot form. A soup of particles dances in a frenzy, each too jittery to hold another's hand. But in time still very early, the heat relaxes. Not cold, not yet, but cooler. Gentle enough for electrons to meet protons. For atoms to emerge like little lanterns in the fog. Hydrogen. Helium. The simplest things and yet the beginning of all complexity. These will drift, collide, and in time forge stars. But for now, the universe is simply breathing out. And in this breath, space itself carries soundless ripples. Gravity is whispering already, folding space like cloth. Tiny irregularities, mere fluctuations, will become the seeds of galaxies. All the structure of everything, from your hand to the ring of Saturn, begins in these trembles. You may wonder how we know. We were not there. No one was. And yet, the echo of this beginning hums around us still. The cosmic microwave background, a soft light stretched thin with age, surrounds you. It is the baby picture of the universe. A portrait of light, 13.8 billion years old, still gently landing on your skin. You are bathed in it now, even as you lie in bed. This ancient glow, cool to just above absolute zero, is everywhere. A lullaby sung before there were ears to hear it. So the next time you close your eyes in the dark, know that the dark is not empty. It is full of ancient light waiting. It is not silence. It is the echo of a first breath drawn before time could be counted. That breath still moves through you. The molecules in your chest, the warmth of your skin, they all come from this great beginning. You are not after the Big Bang. You are part of it, still unfurling. Perhaps this is why your heart beats in rhythm. Why your lungs expand not once, but again and again. Each breath is a memory. Not conscious, not with words, but with wonder. And as you drift now slower, softer, let your thoughts stretch wide like space itself. Let them rise and fall, without destination. For just as the universe began not with a purpose, but with possibility, so too does your story begin again each time you breathe into stillness. And somewhere, out of that darkness, atoms begin to gather. They remember heat. They remember stars. They remember something else too. A pattern, a presence. A kind of memory folded into their structure. In the next chapter, we will follow that memory into the atoms that now make your hands, your lungs, and your thoughts. Atoms that remember stars. Atoms that remember fire. Atoms that somehow remember to become you. You inhale. The air fills your chest. It feels light, simple, unremarkable. But inside that breath are atoms older than the earth, drifting through you with a story billions of years in the making. Each molecule is a traveler, not a metaphor, but a literal wanderer of space and time. The oxygen you breathe may have once brushed the lungs of a dinosaur. The nitrogen may have drifted through the ice of a comet. The carbon, now in your blood, could have been forged in the fiery heart of a dying star. Your body, this body you call yours, is a gathering of dust pulled inward by gravity, animated by chemistry and softened by breath. Pause with that thought. You are not made from the universe. You are the universe arranged with exquisite care, into a pattern that happens to be human. Atoms are not born fully formed. They are built, forged in the hearts of stars. In the ancient universe, there was only hydrogen and helium. Light, quick, simple things. But stars are patient furnaces. And over time, in their deep interiors, they press those light atoms into heavier ones. Carbon, calcium, iron. It's violent, yes, but also sacred. A kind of stellar alchemy. The star swells, burns, and eventually collapses. In its final breath, a supernova. It spills its creations into the cosmos. Every gold ring, every iron nail, every bone in your body, all of it comes from that moment of stellar release. The atoms in your left hand may have come from a different star than the ones in your right. Different explosions, different times. You are a mosaic of stellar memories. And yet these atoms, so small, so ancient, do not cling to their past. They move. They join together. They form molecules, tissues, thoughts. What guides them? Not a will, not a mind, but laws, gentle ones, persistent ones. Laws that guide how particles dance, how bonds are formed, how patterns emerge. You, lying in quiet now, are the result of uncountable decisions, made not by thought but by tendency. The tendency of molecules to pair, of proteins to fold, of cells to divide. There is no blueprint hidden in your body, only a process repeated over time. So often and so gently, that a sense of self begins to take shape. Think of your skin. It holds you, defines you, and yet it is made of cells that constantly die and renew. You are not a thing. You are a process, a slow unfolding, a memory of stardust learning how to breathe. Even your bones, the hardest parts of you, are not permanent. They are always being broken down and rebuilt. Even when you sleep, your atoms are at work, quietly remembering how to be you. There is comfort in that, a kind of whispering intelligence, not conscious, not poetic, and yet still deeply ordered. And that order can be read. If a scientist looks closely, she can find the carbon of your breath and trace it back to a tree. Trace the calcium in your teeth, back to the ocean floor. Trace the iron in your blood, to a supernova older than the sun. Your body is a story of recycling, of return, of atoms wearing new faces, new shapes, new names. But something remarkable happens in humans. We begin to wonder. We ask, where did I come from? And the atoms, your atoms, cannot answer in words, but they shimmer with history. They vibrate in ways that hint at thermonuclear pasts and planetary dust. They remember heat. They remember collapse. They remember connection. Even your thoughts, this very thought drifting gently across your mind as you rest relies on atoms dancing across synapses. Sodium and potassium, calcium and chloride, tiny bursts of charge, creating memory, perception, awareness. Your consciousness is not separate from matter. It is one of matter's quieter arrangements. A brief moment when the universe folds in on itself and becomes aware. You are the universe, wondering about itself. So when you look up at the stars, know this. You are not looking at strangers. You are looking at family. You are looking at pieces of your own past, still burning in the sky. And when you feel tired, when your body softens into sleep, know that your atoms have rested before, in the cold quiet of space, in the bellies of mountains, in the silence between stars. They will rest again. But for now, they gather here, in you, a collection of cosmic memory, curled beneath a blanket, breathing gently in the dark. And as you drift now, your breath slows. Each inhale and exhale, a tiny echo of the universe expanding. Somewhere, a photon begins its journey. It leaves a star unknowing and begins to travel. It may take centuries. It may travel farther than your imagination can stretch. But it goes, bright, unburdened, hoping, perhaps, to find a place where someone will notice its light. Somewhere above you, a photon is moving. It has been traveling a long time. Perhaps 100 years. Perhaps 1 billion. It left the surface of a star before you were born. Before your grandparents were born. Before your species had words. And now it reaches your eye. It has no weight. It has no rest. It moves always at light speed. Which is not just fast. It is the speed limit of reality. Nothing can outrun it. Nothing can even catch up. You don't feel it land. But when it strikes the back of your eye, your brain turns it into color, shape, meaning. You see a star. But what you are really seeing is history. You're not looking at what is. You're looking at what was. Light takes time to travel. And that time becomes a kind of soft delay. A window into the past. Look at the moon, and you see it as it was 1.3 seconds ago. Look at the sun, and you see it as it was 8 minutes ago. Look at the farthest galaxies, And you're seeing the early universe. A baby just learning how to shine. Light is a courier, a silent messenger, crossing the emptiness with stories. It tells us about the shape of the cosmos, the age of stars, the secrets of atoms. And yet it never knows who is listening. It simply goes. There is something beautiful in that. Something gentle. Light does not ask for praise. It moves in straight lines, bending only when space itself curves. Even your body glows, not in visible colors, but in infrared, a soft heat, like the warmth of a hand held close. Light is not just what we see, it is what we feel. It is how we know. It is how the universe reveals itself slowly, like a story whispered from very far away. A photon begins inside a star, in its core under pressure beyond imagining. Nuclear fusion forces hydrogen into helium. This fusion releases energy, some of it in the form of light. But that light doesn't rush out right away. It takes thousands of years, just to travel from the star's core to its surface. It bounces, scatters, waits, and then, finally, it breaks free and enters space. From that moment, it never stops, unless it meets something. An eye, a rock, a cloud of gas. It just goes on, stretching across the dark, like a string pulled infinitely thin. Some photons travel for a few minutes, some for longer than Earth has existed. But no matter how far they go, they always move at the same speed. 186,000 miles per second. Not faster, not slower. In this way, light is not just a traveler. It is a ruler. We use it to measure distance itself. A light year is not time. It is space. The space light can cross in a year. You, lying here now, are surrounded by light's quiet evidence. From the glow of the stars, to the warmth of your blanket. Everything that reaches you has traveled. Everything that touches you has moved through time. Even your thoughts depend on light. The screen you glance at, the fireflies blink, the sunrise that signals a new day. Without photons, there's no vision, no seeing, no color. But more than that, without light, there's no knowing. We learn about the universe, not by touching it, but by watching its light. We collect it with telescopes. We separate it into spectra. We find fingerprints of elements, the motion of galaxies, the age of stars. We read the universe, like an ancient book, written entirely in light. Even in darkness, light still plays a role. The absence of light is what lets us rest. Let our eyes close. Let our thoughts grow quiet. And so you lie here, wrapped in soft shadows, surrounded by ancient light that has finally arrived. Not all photons find eyes. Some pass forever unnoticed, but they travel anyway, faithfully, silently, like messages with no address. And maybe that is their gift, to move forward, without knowing where they'll be received, to carry a story, just in case someone is listening. Your mind, now quieting, is full of these stories, of photons come home, of light turned to meaning. And as you rest, your thoughts slow like the wave of a long-traveled particle. It begins to settle, to release, to become still again. But somewhere else, perhaps in the corner of your room, perhaps in the distant edge of a galaxy, another photon has just left its home. And it too is looking for a place to be seen. Maybe, just maybe, it will find the one thing in the universe that can reflect. A mind that sees, a mind that wonders, a mind that dreams. And perhaps that is how the universe begins to watch itself. You lie still, eyes closed, breath slow. Inside, your mind flickers. A thought drifts across your awareness, then fades like mist curling off a lake at dawn. What is a thought, really? Not something you can hold, not something you can see. And yet it moves you, shapes you, builds your sense of self. Inside your skull, trillions of neurons whisper to each other, in tiny bursts of electricity. A glow not unlike starlight, but softer, closer, intimate. Each neuron is a cell, a structure made of atoms. And those atoms, as you now know, come from stars. You are not just looking at the cosmos. You are the cosmos, folded inward, into a shape that can look back. You are made of the very things you wonder about. And now, in this stillness, you begin to realize you are not a spectator. You are a mirror. The universe has existed for billions of years, silent, expanding, birthing galaxies, breaking stars open like seeds, so they may plant new worlds. But none of it knew itself. Not yet, until something began to look, to wonder, to ask, to dream. Consciousness is the quiet gift that turned awareness inward, like the eye of a snail, stretching to see its own shell. A small act, but revolutionary. You do it effortlessly. You wake. You think. You reflect. But beneath that ease is a mystery still unfolding. What is this thing? This you, who observes the world and calls it beautiful? You are not the first to wonder. Across generations, humans have lit fires and stared into the night sky, tracing patterns among the stars, telling stories, asking questions the stars themselves never knew they carried. And every time someone looked up and said, "What is all this?" a little part of the universe lit up, aware of itself for a flicker of time. You are part of that tradition, a torch carried not in the hand, but in the brain, passed from mind to mind, like a rhythm, like a breath. And how strange, how beautiful, that something as vast and cold as a galaxy can give rise to something so warm as a feeling, a memory, a longing, a quiet joy at watching light shift across a wall. The brain, your brain, is an ocean of patterns. Electrical waves ripple across its surface, carrying thoughts like boats on tides. And underneath, structures built from biology, from chemistry, from physics. Your neurons are alive, but they follow laws, just like stars do. They obey the same rules that govern quarks and black holes. And yet, together, they make you feel. They make you wonder. They let you remember your grandmother's voice, or the shape of a bird's flight at dusk. They let you ask, why am I here? And what is here anyway? Some believe consciousness is an accident. Others say it's inevitable, a natural flowering of complexity. But whatever its origin, its result is this. The universe, for the first time, has a way to notice itself. You are that noticing. The stars do not know they shine. The trees do not know they grow. But you can see them. And more than that, you can be moved by them. You are not just made of atoms. You are made of attention, of memory, of emotion. And when you lie here, quiet and thinking, you are not doing nothing. You are doing something extraordinary. You are holding the universe in your mind, like a seashell held close to the ear, listening for the echo of the ocean. And here's the curious thing. You are not alone. Somewhere else, another brain is drifting in sleep. Another mind is wondering. Another person is gazing at the stars, asking the same old questions, in a brand new way. Every time we connect, through language, through story, through touch, we become mirrors for each other. And the more we reflect, the more the universe becomes illuminated. From the inside out, you may feel small, you may feel brief, but the fact that you can feel it all is nothing short of miraculous. You are not a static object. You are a process, an unfolding, a wave. Thought flows through you, like a current through water. And somehow, this current can sing. It sings of joy, of love, of curiosity, and it asks the softest question of all. Could it be that the universe dreams through the minds it creates? It's not an answer we need tonight, not one we can hold, but it is something we can wonder. And maybe wonder is its own kind of knowing, a quiet, sacred knowing that doesn't rush to conclusions, that listens, that waits, that lies still in the dark, and trusts that light will come again. You are part of that wonder. You are the light turned inward, the dark made thoughtful, the stars given eyes. And as you rest now, let your thoughts loosen, like constellations breaking apart and rejoining in new shapes, because even time, it turns out, can bend and flow. And if time is not steady, then maybe past and future are closer than we think. Maybe what was can touch what is, and maybe time itself isn't quite what it seems. You listen to your breath, in, out, in again. Each breath feels like a small metronome, ticking softly in your chest. You sense time passing, not in clocks, but in feeling, a warmth that fades, a thought that lingers and then dissolves, a moment that begins and quietly ends. But what is time? We speak of it as if we know it well. Time flies, time heals, time runs out. And yet, when you try to touch it, it slips between your fingers. It's not like space. You can't point to it. You can't hold a jar of it. But you can feel its flow. Or can you? Close your eyes now and recall a memory. Maybe a quiet walk beneath golden leaves. Maybe the smell of rain when you were small. Suddenly you're there again. Not in space, but in feeling. The mind folds time gently. Your memory doesn't sort life like pages in a book. It weaves it, dream and past, moment and meaning, all in one tapestry. And that's what makes time so strange. It isn't steady. To your body, time is rhythm, heartbeats, sleep cycles, the rising and setting of light. But to the universe, time is more fluid, a fabric that can stretch, bend, even tangle. Einstein taught us this, that time is not separate from space, but part of it. We live inside space-time, a four-dimensional stage, where matter moves, light travels, and time doesn't tick, it curves. In this fabric, gravity pulls not only on things, but on time itself. The stronger the gravity, the slower time flows. This isn't fantasy. It's been measured, proven, lived. An astronaut orbiting the Earth ages slightly slower than someone standing still on the ground. A clock on a mountain ticks faster than one at sea level. The difference is tiny, fractions of seconds, but it's real, and it adds up. So time, the very thing you count on to stay steady, refuses to be tamed. It bends. And yet, inside your body, a different time keeps moving. Your cells live their own clock. They divide, renew, follow ancient biological rhythms. Your circadian rhythm hums quietly, responding to light and dark, day and night, reminding your body when to sleep, when to wake, when to feel hungry, when to dream. Even if you flew to another planet, far from Earth's turning, your body would still try to measure time by the sun you no longer see. This inner clock is not perfect, but it's faithful. It keeps you tethered. And what about the moments that feel longer than they are? A minute of laughter, an hour of waiting, a single second, when something changed forever. Time doesn't move evenly. In your heart, it stretches with feeling, shrinks with routine. It loops in dreams, pauses in grief. Maybe that's the trick. Time isn't just physics. It's experience. To the universe, you are a series of events in space-time. But to yourself, you are a story, a lived, layered, flowing narrative. You are the storyteller, and time is your thread. Sometimes you wonder where all the time has gone. It feels like water down a drain. Moments slipping past before you can notice. But not everything is lost. Some moments remain. Not in clocks, but in memory, in meaning. Time leaves traces. A wrinkle at the corner of your eye. A familiar scent. A tree that's taller than it once was. Even the stars remember time. Light takes so long to reach us that the night sky is not the present. It is a living museum. Every star you see is shining from the past. So you lying here now are caught between two flows. The cosmic river, curved by gravity and mass, moving at the speed of space-time. And the human stream, made of memories and breath, marked by the rhythm of a beating heart. Which is real? Both. And in between them, you drift gently, carried by tides you cannot see, but always feel. So when you think, I don't have enough time, pause, breathe. You are time. You are what keeps moving. You are what remembers. And now, as you settle deeper into rest, you may begin to feel it. Not the ticking, but the loosening, like petals unfolding. On a clock that no longer counts, time softens in dreams. And in that soft space, you begin to feel gravity again now. Not as a weight, but as a lullaby. Not pulling you down, but gently gathering you in. You lie still, but you are never weightless. Even in your deepest sleep, something is holding you. Gently, invisibly, completely. You may not feel it, but gravity is always there. A soft hand pressing you toward the center of the earth. As if to say, you belong here. Gravity is not a force that pulls, like a rope or a magnet. It is more delicate than that. More patient. More like a curve, a quiet bending of space itself. Einstein saw it not as a push or a pull, but as a shape. Mass doesn't tug on space. It tells space how to bend. And bent space tells things how to move. You are moving even now. Not by walking, but by being drawn along that curve. The planet curves space. You follow the path it makes. This path feels like falling, but it's also flying, spinning, settling. You do not float away because the earth embraces you. Not with arms, but with its presence. And what a presence it is. The earth is vast, alive with molten iron in its core, spinning quietly beneath you, at over 1,000 miles per hour. And yet you feel no motion, just stillness, just sleep approaching. Like a tide, gravity hums beneath your body, like the low note in a lullaby. You never asked for it. You never had to. It was always there, from your first breath, and long before, even before you had form. Your atoms felt the weight of stars. Even in the womb, gravity shaped your bones, guided the blood to your fingers, helped you find down and up. We often think of gravity as something that holds us back, keeps us from flying. But gravity is also the reason stars exist, the reason galaxies gather, the reason planets form. Without gravity, there's no shape, no warmth, no structure, no here. Imagine a cloud of dust, adrift in the early universe. Gravity draws it inward. Slowly, steadily, it begins to spin. It thickens. It ignites. A star is born. And around that star, gravity sculpts planets, curves rings of ice and rock, shapes orbits that will last for billions of years. Your body, too, was shaped by gravity. It pulled your spine into upright posture. It taught your muscles how to resist and yield. Even your inner ear, your sense of balance, is tuned to the Earth's gentle tug. In space, astronauts float without gravity. Their bones weaken. Their sleep changes. Their dreams drift. They long for the weight of home. Because gravity is not a burden. It is grounding. It gives you direction, orientation, a sense of place in the wide spinning sky. And gravity isn't just between you and the Earth. It connects everything to everything. You are pulled toward the sun. The sun is pulled toward the center of the galaxy. The galaxy is pulled toward unseen clusters of mass. So distant, they exist only as whispers in the dark. All things fall toward one another. Not in chaos, but in choreography. It is not a crash. It is a dance, a ballet of curves, spinning planets, spiraling stars, even the slow, strange motion of galaxies colliding over billions of years. And yet, in all this grandness, you lie quietly, on a bed, on a planet, in a gravity well so familiar. You rarely notice it, but notice it now. Notice how your body rests, how your back presses into the surface beneath you, not with tension, but with trust. That trust is gravity's gift. You are never not held. Even in sleep, even in space, even in death, your atoms will be gathered again, not lost, but called. Gravity remembers. It collects. It returns. And perhaps that is the most soothing thought of all. That no matter how far you drift, there is always something drawing you home. A tree grows upward, but its roots are pulled down. A bird takes flight, but must rest again. A wave leaps, but returns to sea. You too can rise in dreams. You can float in thought. You can travel in mind, as far as light itself. But gravity will be here. When you return, it is the heartbeat of the cosmos. The slow, deep drum beneath all things. Not loud, not harsh, but faithful. And as your breathing slows, your body softens into its curve. The earth holds you. The stars spin above you. And all things, even now, are falling towards something. Falling does not always mean failing. Sometimes, falling is just another word for finding your way back. And as you sleep, you are part of that slow return. The soft settling of dust into planet, of thought into silence, of dream into mind. Because even now, in this quiet pull, something stranger stirs inside you. You dream, and dreams, like stars, are born from dust and fire, and the strange electric spark, called consciousness. You are drifting now. The edges of thought grow soft. The waking world quiets, and behind your closed eyes, something begins to stir. A shape, a color, a memory not yet remembered. The beginning of a dream. Dreams arrive without asking. They unfold like petals in the dark. Sometimes strange, sometimes tender, always stitched from the fabric of your mind. But what is the fabric made of? Inside your skull, neurons whisper to one another, impulses of electricity and chemistry. Their messages flicker in waves, rhythms as ancient as the tide. And each neuron, each tiny living wire, is built from atoms. And those atoms, as you've come to know, once burned in stars, floated in gas clouds, rested in stone. Dust, that's what you are. But not just dust. You are dust that remembers, dust that thinks, dust that dreams. Sleep is not a shutdown. It is a shift, a reorganization, a deep cleaning of the mind. Your brain does not turn off when you sleep. In some ways, it becomes even more active. Memories are sorted, emotions softened, connections rewired. And through it all, dreams bloom. Strange, vivid stories, woven from fragments of thought and feeling. One moment you are flying. The next, you are talking to someone long gone. The dream bends time, twists logic, folds reality, and still, you believe it, as if it were truth. Why? Because your dreaming brain doesn't question. It accepts. It explores. It experiments with possibility. In this way, Dreaming is deeply creative. It is your mind, free of rules, painting with everything it has ever known. But it's not just randomness. There is structure beneath the swirl. Your brain cycles through phases of sleep. Light, deep, and REM. REM sleep, rapid eye movement, is where the most vivid dreams emerge. During REM, your brain lights up with activity that rivals your waking state. Your heart may beat faster, your breathing may change, but your body remains still, held in a gentle paralysis. So the dream can unfold without action. It is like being inside a private theater, one that plays only for you, where the sets change fluidly, the actors are memories, and the script is rewritten in real time. And yet, what a profound thing that is. Because your brain, made of atoms and cells, produces not just thoughts, but entire worlds. Worlds that feel, worlds that move you, worlds you forget, and yet never truly lose. Consciousness is not constant. It flickers, it shifts, it dances between awareness and oblivion. But in all its states, waking, sleeping, dreaming, there is a thread, a self, and that self, however temporary, is a miracle of complexity. Imagine a galaxy, full of stars, spiraling in ordered chaos. Now imagine your brain. Billions of neurons, each connected to thousands of others. Firing, pausing, learning, forgetting. It is a universe in miniature, a cosmos folded into thought. And somehow, within that complexity, arises a single question. Who am I? No star has asked this. No atom has wondered. Only you. Only minds like yours. Only in the stillness of night, when the lights go out, and the brain turns inward. We may never know exactly why we dream, but perhaps that's not the point. Perhaps dreaming is the mind's way of wandering, of healing, of reaching. Maybe dreams are how the universe experiments with imagination, because through you, the dust begins to wonder. The carbon asks questions, the hydrogen writes poems, the oxygen sighs at beauty, and in your dreams, this wonder deepens. You try on lives that are not yours. You visit places that never were. You feel joy, sadness, longing, sometimes more vividly than in waking life. What kind of matter can do this? What kind of chemistry produces a mother's voice, or the feeling of falling, or the vision of a red sky that never existed? Yours does. You are not passive in the night. You are traveling, floating through inner space, gathering pieces of yourself you forgot you had. And when you wake, not all of it will stay, but some dreams remain. They echo, they plant seeds, they color the way you feel about the day ahead. They become part of your story. So as you drift now, deeper into softness, into warmth, into thought that barely speaks, know this. Your mind is not switching off. It is tuning in to something subtler, something between waking and not, something ancient and deeply personal. The stars do not dream, but their dust does, through you. And maybe, just maybe, in that flicker of dreaming, of wonder, of reaching, the universe listens, not with ears, but with the silence between. And what it hears is not noise, not questions, not answers. It hears feeling. It hears meaning. It hears you. And now, as your brain slides gently into its next slow rhythm, you begin to settle deeper into stillness, because even stars grow tired, even galaxies rest, even the universe, in its way, moves toward calm. And in that slow movement, toward quiet, toward peace, a pattern begins to emerge. Entropy, not destruction, but release. There is a quiet kind of fading that isn't sad. It is the natural end to a song, the hush after a breath, the soft closing of a book. This is the way of all things. And in the language of science, this soft ending has a name: entropy. Entropy is not destruction. It is not a shattering or an explosion. It is the steady release of structure, the letting go of form. In simple terms, entropy is the tendency of things to spread out, to become less ordered, to move from concentrated to dispersed. Imagine a drop of ink falling into a still glass of water. At first, the drop is precise, a shape, a moment, but then slowly, it begins to swirl. The color stretches, softens, fades, until at last, there is no drop, only a glass of gently tinted water. This is entropy, not chaos, but the graceful softening of difference. All closed systems move toward higher entropy. not because they are broken, but because this is the direction of time. From hot to cold, from concentrated to spread, from sharp to smooth, even stars follow this path. A star shines by burning, by fusing light elements into heavier ones, releasing energy in the process. But one day, this fuel runs low. It slows, it dims. Some stars end in brilliance, a supernova, brief and bright, but even that brightness is a step toward rest. The ashes cool, the energy disperses, and what once blazed becomes part of the dust again. This is not failure. This is nature. The universe began in order, all energy tightly held, all matter close. Since then, it has been expanding, not just in space, but in possibility. And with that expansion comes entropy, the slow drifting toward equilibrium. Imagine a room, half cold, half hot. At first, there is contrast, energy waiting to move, but wait long enough, and the heat spreads. Everything evens out. The room becomes warm throughout, balanced, still, quiet. This is the destination of all things. In the very long run, scientists sometimes speak of the heat death of the universe, a moment far beyond our imagining, when all stars have burned, all movement has slowed, and energy is so evenly spread that nothing more can happen. No more light, no more time, just stillness. But does that sound frightening? Perhaps not. Perhaps it is a kind of sleep, the deepest sleep, the full exhale, after a universe-long breath. And you, lying here now, are part of this flow. Your body, too, moves through entropy, from high energy to low, from tension to softness. As you drift into sleep, you follow the same path. Your temperature drops, your muscles loosen, your breath slows. This is not decay, it is rest. Entropy, in this way, is the physical echo of peace. Everything in your room, the warmth in the walls, the hum of air, even the heat from your body, is slowly evening out. You are in gentle conversation with the world around you, exchanging warmth, releasing order, letting go. And it is okay, because entropy isn't about things falling apart. It's about things finding balance. Even your thoughts, those busy electric patterns, begin to slow, to wander, to soften at the edges. And soon, you won't notice them anymore. They'll dissolve into the quiet background of your dreaming mind, just as galaxies fade into the distance when light stretches too thin to see. In that silence, something remains, not the noise, but the memory of pattern, not the light, but the warmth it leaves behind. Even when a star dies, its elements remain. They drift, gather, and someday may be part of something new. Planet, a tree, a hand. So perhaps entropy is not the end, but a return to the beginning, to possibility, to calm. As you rest now, feel the warmth leaving your body, not escaping, but joining, becoming part of the room, the air, the earth. You are not diminishing. You are dissolving gently into your rightful place. And in that soft release, you prepare for something new. Because when everything is quiet, and all things even, new patterns may arise. Tiny flickers, small fluctuations, the beginnings of change. The universe may fall into rest, but rest is never final. Even stillness can be stirred. Even silence can carry a pulse. And perhaps that pulse, however faint, is a kind of language, a grammar older than sound, spoken not with words, but with relationships, movements, balances. And in the next quiet moment, you may begin to hear it, the soft murmur of how atoms speak without sound. Ask ChatGPT. There is a kind of stillness in the night that feels like listening, not to sound, but to something beneath it, a hum without tone, a rhythm without a drum. As you lie here, warm, silent, nearly asleep, you are still part of something moving, something speaking, even if it makes no sound. The atoms in your body are not alone. They do not act in isolation. They move in accordance with invisible laws, obeying patterns, older than the stars. It begins with the simplest things: electrons circling nuclei, protons repelling, forces attracting, not with will, not with thought, but with a kind of obedience, as if the universe taught them a single word: yes. Yes to orbit, yes to bond, yes to fall into place. This, in a way, is the beginning of language, not the human kind, not made of sound or symbol, but a deeper syntax, a structure written into reality itself. And it is everywhere. Gravity bends the path of light. Light carries the imprint of heat and motion. Particles collide, and from the results, we learn what was spoken in the moment before. From this, we read, not with our eyes, but with the instruments we build, and the minds we train to listen. We learn that a distant star wobbles because a planet pulls on it. We learn that galaxies swirl in a way that suggests dark matter fills the space between. We hear these truths, not as sound, but as symmetry, balance, tension, release. And you, even now, half dreaming, are fluent in this quiet dialect. When you pick up a stone, you expect it to fall. When you touch something warm, you know heat moves toward you. These are not learned responses. They are inherited, woven into the very design of the matter that makes you. You do not hear gravity, but you respond to it. You do not see electromagnetism, but your heartbeat depends on its pulse. You are not just part of the world. You are a participant in its grammar. Every heartbeat, every breath, is a word in the universe's sentence. And yet, this language is quiet. It does not declare. It unfolds. A seed turning toward light, a moon rising with the tide, a dust particle settling in still air. Even the stars obey this grammar. They burn according to mass, fuse elements in sequence, swell and shrink in cycles. You might think of language as something that only humans possess: syntax, metaphor, song. But language at its root is pattern made meaningful, and the universe is full of that. The spirals of galaxies, the branching of trees, the hexagon of a snowflake, these are not accidents. They are expressions, repetitions, echoes, fractals, geometry, frequency. Everywhere, structure repeats, as if nature remembers the lines it once loved and draws them again and again. Think of music, how it pleases us not because it's random, but because it returns, resolves, follows rules we do not have to study to feel. The universe has its own music, not one we can hum, but one we can perceive, in motion, in balance, in energy. Even now, your body sings in response. The electrons in your brain know how to leap between synapses. The proteins in your cells fold into shapes so precise that one wrong angle could change everything. This is not chance. This is fluency. This is nature, speaking clearly through every blade of grass, every gust of wind, every heartbeat in the dark. It speaks in a language too patient for words. A star may take 1 billion years to tell its story, but it speaks it anyway. A glacier may write its sentence in scratches on stone. A planet may spin a tale in temperature and tilt, and your dreams, strange and unspoken, may be part of that telling, because consciousness, yours, is part of this system too. You do not simply observe the world. You interact with it. You learn its grammar, and then you shape it. You plant seeds. You write poems. You offer kindness. You create. And in that creation, you speak back. A response. A call and answer. Not just I exist, but I understand. And when you do not understand, when mystery wraps around a question, like fog around a mountain, even then, you are participating, because wonder itself is a kind of fluency, a recognition that something is speaking, even if you can't quite translate it. So as you lie here, listening to the hush between breaths, know this: You are wrapped in meaning, not a meaning someone made, but one that unfolds by being. And maybe your body knows it. Maybe your atoms remember the first conversation, the time before time, when energy and matter first agreed to dance. And maybe, as entropy softens everything, as gravity holds you, as light travels from stars long dead, you are still listening, still replying, still dreaming in a dialect, older than language, one without sound, but full of truth. And when all the speaking stops, when the last light dims, and everything returns to quiet, something might still echo, a faint rhythm, a final question, gentler than breath. Could that question be, who is dreaming all this? And as the dream deepens, yourself begins to thin, not lost, but opening, not vanishing, but becoming something broader, becoming the dreamer, the dreamed, the dreaming universe. You are still. The room is quiet. The night presses close, not heavy, but gentle, like a warm sea, rising to meet your skin. You are barely there, and yet completely here. This moment, this space between thought and sleep, is where something tender unfolds. You, but not the you made of names and numbers, not the one who checks the time, or remembers appointments. A deeper you, the one who breathes, without needing to be asked, the one who feels. A sunrise before seeing it, the one who watches dreams. From the inside, this you is not separate from the universe. It is the universe, folded inward, to look through a set of eyes, to listen through a mind, to wonder, softly, at itself. You are not in the cosmos, like an object in a room. You are the cosmos, arranged in such a way that it can become aware. Think of all it took to make this moment, a singularity blooming into time, stars forging elements, planets forming from dust, life sparking in water, eyes evolving to see light, brains learning to hold memory. And now, you, lying here, held by gravity, drifting into sleep. Isn't it a wonder that something as vast as the universe can become so quiet, so tender, so utterly still, that it becomes you? Your thoughts, your memories, your hopes, they are not trivial. They are the ripple of galaxies. Turned inward, you may not feel important, but importance was never the point. The point is presence. The point is being. And you, simply by being, complete the universe in a way nothing else can. Without you, the stars shine in silence. Without you, there is no one to hear the language of atoms, the song of time, the story of light. Through you, it becomes real. The universe does not need you to exist, but to know itself, to reflect, to wonder. Yes, it needs someone to dream. And so, it dreamed you, not as a plan, not as a purpose, but as a possibility, one among countless others. And yet, this one, you, with your breath and your heartbeat, with your thoughts like clouds, and your feelings like tides, you, whose atoms were scattered in stars, and now are gathered, in the shape of a question. What am I? The answer isn't simple, and maybe it doesn't need to be. Maybe you don't need to know. In order to be, you are here, and here is enough. Right now, your brain slows, your body rests, you begin to slip beneath the surface of wakefulness, into a dream, and in that dream, the universe continues, not out there, but in here, in you, a spiral galaxy blooming behind closed eyes, a glowing thread of thought weaving stars into story, a quiet merging of memory and matter, breath and stardust, self and space. Maybe this is what dreaming is. Not escape, not illusion, but reunion, a return to the whole, a dissolving of edges. Because in the deepest part of sleep, there is no boundary, no name, no time, only a quiet awareness, folded into itself, like light in the early universe, not yet shining, but full of promise. And so you drift, deeper now, past the last thought, past the echo of language, into the hush, where you are no longer the observer. You are the rhythm. You are the curve. You are the dream, the dreamer and the dreamed. You do not need to understand this. Your body already does. It settles into gravity's arms. It softens with entropy's peace. It hums with the memory of stars. Everything is still, but nothing is stopped. Everything rests, but everything continues. And you, in this beautiful blur, are part of it. A quiet yes, spoken into the dark. And if the universe could sleep, could exhale, could imagine, maybe, just maybe, it would dream of you.